"Sir," asked Toby, "are you all right?" "Oh, yes, Toby, just a headache is all." "If I may say so, sir, you seem to have been getting a lot of those recently." "Well," said Sir Topham Hatt, "a lot of it has got to do with this mess with the Earl. He's told me a little bit more about his plans, but I should tell you, they don't make me sleep any easier at night." "I understand, sir," said Toby. Sir Topham Hatt paused. Then he shook his head and smiled. "How long have you known me, Toby?" Toby was a bit taken aback. He said. "Well, I suppose it's been decades, hasn't it?" he said. "The first time I met you, you were just a young boy." "Yes," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Toby, I must admit, I remember the day I first met you like it was yesterday. I remember my grandparents taking us on a trip to East Anglia. I remember finding a small railway, and on it, a little brown tram and an old wooden coach. I remember my first ride in that old wooden coach. It was unlike anything I'd ever had. I was used to riding in the comfortable express coaches on the Northwestern Railway. I grew up with Thomas and Edward and Henry and Gordon, James and Percy, but you were something new. You were something different, something special, and that little boy thought that riding on you was the greatest adventure he had ever had. And now he still does, even though he is an old man. I've always had a deep respect for you, Toby, a special place in my heart, a kind of trust, and I trust you enough to tell you that there is something else weighing on my mind." "I'm honored, sir," said Toby. "What is it?" "Well," said Sir Topham Hatt, "if you give me a lift to Knapford Harbour and promise not to speak a word of this matter to anyone else, then I will tell you along the way." "Certainly, sir," said Toby. "Climb aboard." The Fat Controller did exactly that. Then Toby trundled away to Knapford Harbour. "Hello, Percy," said Toby. "How are you?" Yawned Percy. "Been better. Haven't been sleeping very well lately." Toby noticed two other engines in front of them. One of the engines was Arthur, but the other he didn't recognize. Sir Topham Hatt walked out in front of Toby and Percy and stood upon a crate. "Arthur, Percy," he said, "thank you for coming here. I have some important news. The Earl of Sodor has requested that I send him an engine to help with the Brendam renovation project. And after all the headaches his project has caused, the only reason I agreed was because he offered to pay for the rental of a spare engine. Arthur," he said, "I have chosen you to help with the Earl's renovations." "Yes, sir," said Arthur. "In the meantime, the spare engine that is now among us will be doing your work. I will allow him to introduce himself." All eyes turned to the new engine. The engine was silent for a moment, but at last he spoke up. "Hello," said the new engine. "My name is Gerald." "Pleased to meet you, Gerald," said Arthur. "But why does your nameplate say Gator?" "Oh," said Gerald, it's not my name. It's just a nickname for the type of engine I am." Looking closely at him, it wasn't hard for Percy to tell why. Gator was long and green, and the slanting metal plates on his side somewhat resembled an alligator's scales. Said Arthur. "I see. Well, welcome to the island of Sodor, Gerald. My name's Arthur, and over there are Toby and Percy." Gator looked. I'm sorry," he said. "Did you say Percy?" Yes," said Percy, "that's me. And this is Toby." "Oh, well, yes. Well, thank you, and the pleasure is all mine. And you're welcome to call me Gator if you'd prefer." Toby smiled. "We've got another engine with a name like yours, Gator," he said. "His name's Montague, but everyone calls him Duck." "Indeed," said the Fat Controller. "Now then, Arthur, I would like you to report immediately to Brendam. In the meantime, Percy, you will show, Gator how to run the line." "Yes, sir," said Percy. "All right then, Gator. Come on, I'll show you around." Gator chopped away after Percy. Soon, Percy and Gator arrived at the coaling plant. Right, said Percy. So, how much experience do you have taking trains? Said Gator. A little, but not much with work like this. Well, said Percy, then this is as good a place to start as any. I need to make a coal run to the power plant. Stay with me, and I'll run you through the basics of shunting and pulling trains and just generally how the line works. Yes, thank you, said Gator. Let's begin, shall we? Soon Percy was showing Gator how everything worked. Percy found that Gator didn't talk much while he worked, but he caught on to the methods of work very quickly. Presently, James arrived with some empty trucks. Ugh, he shivered. Dirty objects and dirty sidings. James noticed Gator nearby. And who are you? Asked James. This is Gerald, said Percy. He's come as a spare engine for a while. I'm showing him around. Well, you could have picked a cleaner spot to start your grand tour, Percy. By the way, where's that little shunter Logan got off to? Isn't he supposed to be around here shunting? Last I heard, he was getting a new paint job at the steamworks. What does a dirty little shunter like Logan want with a new coat of paint? It'll just get dirty again the second he gets back here. Paint's an expensive resource nowadays. If you ask me, they should have saved it for a more suitable, more splendid engine. Like me, in fact. Percy arched an eyebrow. He said. You know, I didn't see it before, but I think you're right. Really? Said James. Yeah, said Percy. You would look splendid in that blue and yellow paint. James snorted, highly offended. Blue and yellow, he spat. If you ask me, Percy, yellow is the most disgusting color on the planet. Other than burnt orange and chartreuse. And no offense, Gerald. Right. Well, anyway, said James, I've got better things to do than have pointless debates with silly little green tank engines. Why am I even lingering here? The coaling plant cramps my style. Now then, if Logan ever does show up to actually do some hard work for a change, give him my coldest regards, won't you? James started to chuff away, but he stopped close to Gator. James eyed Gator for a moment. Then he muttered, looks more like a tank than anything. Then he chuffed away. Said Percy. Cramps my style, indeed. Pay no mind to James, Gator. He means well, but he can be like that sometimes. He might be the vainest engine I've ever met, said Gator. Said Percy. Then it's probably a good thing Spencer doesn't visit us much anymore. Come on, let's get back to work, said Percy. We can fill these empty trucks that James brought and take them in our train. Aha! Jim, Lizzie, Bob, there you are. You would not believe the size of the rabbit I just trapped. It was as big as a groundhog. Morons, if we've told you once, we've told you 1,000 times. This is a restricted area. You're not allowed here. And neither are firearms, I should add. Jim. First of all, my name is Morange. Morange with a ron. Et deuxième, Noël is not even loaded. You named your hunting rifle? Oui, Lizzie. She is called Noël. And as I said, she is not even loaded. See? Whoa! Gunfire. No. It's an ambush. It's a trap. Gator? We've got to get to cover. Mayday! We need backup. We need cover. We've got to get out of here. We've got to... Gator! What? What'd you push me into the coal chute for, Gator? Oh, Percy, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. That noise, it just startled me. Well, that's all right, I suppose. It would have startled anyone.
Morons, you idiot!
You could have killed one of us, or started a fire, or worse. Is it not my fault? I thought she wasn't loaded. That hardly means you need to pull the trigger to find out. My goodness, Mirage, I'm calling the police. Well, let's get this mess cleaned up. Then we can set off for the power plant. I can get a washdown later. Oh, okay, said Gator. I'm sorry, Percy. I'm sorry. A little while later, Percy and Gator had collected enough coal to take to the power plant. All right, Gator, said Percy. Come along. I'll show you the line as we go. Percy whistled. Then he and Gator set off with their long line of coal trucks. As they went along, Percy showed Gator how the line ran. At long last, Percy and Gator arrived at the power plant. As Gator waited for Percy to turn around and return on the other line, he noticed the hospital behind the power station. Suddenly, Oh no. They're coming. We're surrounded. We need air support. We've got to get out of here. Help! Gator! Someone! Gator. We're doomed! What? Percy, they're coming. Gator, just calm down. Everything's fine. You're okay. Nothing's wrong. Yes. I mean, yes, Percy. Sorry. I guess I'm just a little jumpy right now. I'm sorry. But it's getting late. Perhaps you could show me to my shed? Of course, Gator, said Percy. Head back to the last switch. I'll be there in a minute, and then we can go to the sheds together. All right? Yes. All right. Yes. Thank you, Percy. The next day, Percy returned to his usual work. That morning, he met up with Toby at Elham Station. Morning, Percy, said Toby. You look tired. More trouble sleeping? Yeah, said Percy, but there's something else, too. I've been worried about Gator. You mean the spare engine? How so? Well, said Percy, he acts a little bit strange sometimes. Strange in what way? Well, said Percy, twice yesterday, Gator just sort of freaked out. He started breathing really hard, and then he started shouting things, apparently for no reason. This got Toby's attention. Percy, he said, I need you to describe to me exactly how Gator behaved yesterday in both of these incidents. Okay, said Percy. I'll do my best. For the next couple of minutes, Percy recounted the previous day's adventures with Gator to Toby in as much detail as he could remember. Toby listened silently the whole time, but his face grew grimmer and grimmer as the story went on. There, said Percy at last. That's the whole story. What do you make of it? For a moment, Toby remained silent. But at last he said, Percy, I think I know what's wrong with Gator. Really? Said Percy. What is it? Well, said Toby, going by the observations you've given me, and my admittedly limited knowledge of psychology, I would guess that our dear friend Gator is afflicted with post-traumatic stress disorder. Really? Said Percy. What is that exactly? Well, said Toby, from what I understand of it, it's a psychological condition that can sometimes occur after a person has been through a particularly traumatic event. People who have post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, can sometimes show signs of shock, nervousness, or fear, even anger sometimes. They may have outbursts where they seemingly relive the traumatic memory. That does sort of sound like Gator, I suppose, said Percy, still a little dubious. Usually, Toby went on, it only develops if the event in question caused or threatened serious physical harm. The disorder is commonly associated with military veterans, though other people can experience it as well. The military, said Percy. Suddenly he remembered what James had said the previous day.
Huh. Looks more like a tank than anything.
Now that I think about it, Gator is an unusual-looking engine, and that metal plating on his sides. Do you think— I do think, said Toby. I also think we should find the Fat Controller. Perhaps he can find some professional help for Gator. No, said Percy. At least, not yet. After all, we don't know for certain that this is what's going on with Gator. Let me talk to him. Maybe I can find something out that will help us better understand what's really going on. Toby hesitated. Fine, he said. But Percy, I would be very careful talking to him. You don't want to set him off. If he really has suffered a traumatic event, saying it would be a touchy subject would be an understatement. I understand, said Percy. I'll be careful, but I do have to try. If I can help Gator, even just a little bit, then I will. Good luck, Percy, called Toby.